Here with my colleagues Emilia from UN Volunteers and my colleague Chen.
Very nice to meet you.
Hi, UNDP. Everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to this call. We also have our colleague Gayan from the UN SDG Action Campaign. He's also online and he will be speaking first. But before we start, I'm going to give you a very brief introduction about the program so that you get to understand what we're here for. Thank you for joining. There's about 10 of you, I understand, from the old advocates and the new advocates. So again, we're very happy that this program is starting again today. This is the launch officially of the second phase. Gayan will introduce you about the My World survey and how it started, how it works, the My World 2030. But let me tell you about the ASEAN My World a little bit. The program for the advocates started last June. It's a joint effort between three UN bodies, UNDP Asia Pacific, UNV Asia Pacific, and of course the UN SDG Action Campaign. We have 26 advocates in the first phase, and now in the new phase, we have recruited another 24. So you'll be about 50 of you coming from all 10 ASEAN countries. A lot of key achievements and results have been achieved so far. And during my time, I'll be the third speaker. I will give you an overview of what we've achieved so far, and especially what you, the advocates, have achieved so far. I wanted to tell you also about the survey. So the whole initiative is built around this tool, which is called the ASEAN My World 2030 survey. So far, about 12,000, almost 13,000 votes have been collected. Very good results around the survey itself. It's translated in all 10 ASEAN languages. So from Khmer to English, of course, because of Singapore, to Indonesian, Bahasa, all the languages are available for the online platform and for the offline platform. And all of you have been using it tremendously. So it's been really a good ride so far. And let me maybe start by giving the floor to my colleague Gayan, who will be able to introduce you about the SDG Action Campaign. They are based in Bonn and in New York, and he will tell you more about the role and the kind of activities they've been carrying out worldwide and also in Asia and Pacific. Gayan, over to you.
Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Gayan Peris. I work for the UN SDG Action Campaign. Well, the Action Campaign is a special initiative of the Secretary General. It's an interagency initiative to work across the UN system. And we are based here in Bonn, Germany. And the Global Campaign Center is here. And also we have a small office in New York as well. First of all, let me congratulate everyone who has joined our first initiative of the advocates, My World Advocates, and also congratulate who are joining new to My World Advocates. We are very excited to work with you. You'll be hearing a lot from me and my colleagues in the team in the future. And before going into more details about My World, let me share something really quickly. Let's see if I can share my screen. What happened in 2015 when we eventually started My World. In fact, this goes back to 2012, 2013, before the goals were decided in 2015. There was a massive global push on getting priorities for the first time. UN opened their doors to the public to come in and tell what their priorities are. And we reached out to over 9 million, close to 10 million people around the world in 994 countries. And the important thing to note here are the 1,000 partners that we work with, and that's you. And 82% of votes come through what we call the offline method. That is people going door to door, collecting these votes and bringing them back into the system. And this wouldn't have been possible without the massive partner network we have. So what you're joining is a global network of partners who are working on the My World survey. And we now have a new version of My World, which you will hear in the coming days, coming weeks, and coming months a lot. So I'm not going to talk about the new My World survey. It's a simple 2-question survey, which we call it. It's a multi-purpose tool because yes, it is a survey. There's the data aspect of it. At the same time, there's the advocacy aspect of it as well. You would use this as a tool to communicate about the goals in your community, in your country, in your municipality, or even in certain cases in your school as well. So I'm going to go straight into some of the programs that we have for people like you. And one is a global initiative called Act for SDGs. The actions you do on the ground will be featured on 25th of September every year in New York at the General Assembly. And this is a map of people who took action last September. And we will be featuring it to the decision makers, to policy makers. Show what you have done on the ground. You will get a maximum visibility with this. Your initiatives will be shown on a screen in the UN lobby, and we will be. There will be media there. There will be world leaders. There will be special guests coming into the exhibition, and your work will be featured at this event. And the next thing we have is the Global Festival of Action. We have here in Bonn. I will quickly go back to the map because I got a comment saying you cannot really see the map. This initiative is available on actforsdgs.org, and the URLs for these websites, these initiatives, will be shared with you in the coming days when we go deeper into the program. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is the festival we have here in Bonn, and this is an annual festival of people like you who are working on SDGs, who would like to meet like-minded other people who are working on SDGs. We invite you to come to Bonn, and the next event is from 2nd to 4th of May here in Bonn. And it's an open invitation, so you can join too. We'll be opening registration very soon. It's a real festival of dance, music, very good learning opportunities, very good networking opportunities with people, and we are hoping to get very high-level UN people in this event as well. So you get an opportunity to share what you have done with the world, with the other partners. Then another initiative that we have, well, generally we have the award ceremony in the event, in the Global Festival of Action, is the SDG Action Awards. So this award ceremony is specifically designed for people like you to feature what you have done and send us, again, the call for submissions will be open very soon towards the end of this month. And those who have been part of the program already can submit the work that you have done. There'll be an independent judge panel who will be, and there are few categories, about 7 categories that you can submit your work under. And you will be recognized at the highest level for the work you have done. And these, what you see on the screen right now are some of the winners from last time. Oops,
Hello, Gan. I'm sorry
yes.
to interrupt you, but it seems that the screen stays on the same page. So
I'm sorry about that. Let me see.
Thank you.
Let me see how I can change that.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry. That's my wife, actually. That goes into infinity. How about now?
Yeah, we can see a different page.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, sorry about that. So I was going on about the program. So I'll be quick. Some of the programs I mentioned is the My World. We'll be talking about the toolkits later on. And this is the map that I was talking about of Act 5 SDGs. And the URL is actforsdgs.org, and this is the Global Festival of Action I was talking about from 2nd to 4th of May. And And here are the winners of last year from the SDG Action Award. So you can join, you can submit your work, and this is another way of recognizing your work on the field. And some other people you see here are advocates for the My World program, and they've run My World in their community, and they've submit how they've done it with some great pictures, great stories as well. So that is one other opportunity. Another one I wanted to show is we have this data playground event, and this is a picture from the data playground event in Microsoft in New York, where we feature your work again, and to people who are interested in this type of work. And we have these data playgrounds from time to time around the world, and we feature your work in these data playgrounds. The next thing is rather something that we are offering to you. We are offering to you toolkits from in collaboration with people on this call. But one of the things we've partnered with My Oculus and Digital Promise to bring you My World 360. Now, this is to train you, to guide you to do how 360 programs, 360 videos using your mobile phone. So Facebook and Digital Promise will get together with us to provide webinars and training programs to you on doing these 360 videos. And another one I wanted to show is the partnership we have with Canon to launch a program on how to capture these stories when you go onto the field. So this is something we are talking with Canon on launching in the region, and this training program hopefully will be available to you as well. So when you go to the field, to capture the stories. So I'm sorry about the technical mishap we had, where you had to stare at a blue screen for a while, but all these initiatives are available on our website, sdgactioncampaign.org. At the same time, once again, let me congratulate for you for joining this program. We will be working together. We are super excited to work with you. And well, last but not least, I'm from the region, and I'm very proud to say I started with a program like this, and this opens doors to really great opportunities, and I'm excited to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gayan, for the presentation. It was really, really useful. I hope the advocates will get all the hyperlinks later so they can really explore all the resources you have on the SDG Action Campaigns website. You have a bunch of toolkits, you have examples, a lot of the work that you expected to do as advocates. You have all the templates, and most of it is published on the website. So it's really good that you get to explore the website. And maybe, Gayan, you could tell us a bit more about the team in Bonn, and about Christina, who might be helping as well, everything related to social media and online digital impact. Can you tell us a bit more about Christina?
Sure. So Tina is leading Christina is leading well, we call her Tina, but you will be hearing a lot from Christina Sampson. She is leading our strategic communications, and she will be doing a series of webinars to train you on how to use social media, how to use some of our resources, how to write a blog, for example, to expand your communication skills. And also she'll be guiding you on where to find resources for certain things. If you are to conduct a local event, how can you do so, where to find the toolkit, how to create a program. So Tina will be conducting webinars on that. And in terms of team in Bonn, we are about 7 to 8 people in Bonn, and a very small team in Bonn, but we have a partner network throughout the world. So what the Bonn team will be doing is depending on your need, we will connect you with a partner closer to you, so you can work with them together.
Thank you so much, Gayan, for this explanation. Let me now turn to my colleague Emilia. She works here in the regional office of UN Volunteers. They are the other UN co-convener of this initiative, and I hope you're going to learn a lot from our work and the kind of things they do here. Here you go, Emilia.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be talking to you. It's unfortunate that I can't see many of you, and I love to interact with young people, and I have worked with young people for over 10 years. So please welcome, and also congratulations on being really becoming an advocate. I think it's a very good first step, or maybe not first step for some of you on your engagement with SDGs. From the perspective of United Nations volunteers, I work in this region for more than 3 years. I used to work with the youth, and I will tell you about some of the things we have done with young people in ASEAN and across the region. But globally, we are also actually based in Bonn, like the SDG Action Campaign. Our headquarters is in Bonn, so we are neighbors, and we have a small office in New York, and we have regional presence in Bangkok. We do have presence in 8 countries in the region. Unfortunately, in ASEAN countries, I think it's only Cambodia, Indonesia, okay, Philippines, no, Myanmar, and Laos. That we have presence. We have big presence in China, and here is to inspire you more. We have this panda from China that was given by one of the volunteer organizations that we work with. So I brought him. Anyway, in terms of the what UNV is working on, our direction is obviously we look at volunteering as a way for people to contribute to peace and development. But it's also now with with the adoption of SDGs, it's also how to make sure that the volunteer contributions and what you basically will be doing feeds in and is featured, and you have a voice as well. And so that it is recognized. The volunteers are recognized as an official stakeholder group in the Agenda 2030. So all of you are volunteers because you will be spending a lot of time out of the free will for the general public good on the SDGs, and this fits with the definition. So congratulations on also becoming the volunteers. We are working now with our new direction on amplifying the voices of volunteers in the SDG processes. So we are actually looking at some of the concrete best practices and case studies. So a lot of your work, I would be interested to see how what are the approaches on SDGs and localizing that you will have, because we are working with the UN SCAP, which is the Regional Commission for Asia and the Pacific. They will have a big conference in March 2019. The focus is, the theme is empowering people through inclusion and equality. So volunteerism fits in really well and is very relevant to really understand how through volunteering and the people's contribution, really you can ensure inclusiveness and equality. So I would give you a heads up to do interesting work because you might be invited and brought. We will be looking for people to come here and speak along with the governments and other CSOs. We are also trying to mainstream volunteerism in the policy work and into governmental processes. So I don't know if many of you were involved or heard that countries are doing the voluntary national review reports, which are the SDG progress reports. And we are also working with many countries. Like last year, we worked with Laos and Sri Lanka to also organize, to include and involve volunteer organizations and youth volunteers in the process of reviewing the progress on SDGs, and also sort of being there to say this is what we as volunteers can do with on implementing SDGs, be it data collection, be it raising awareness, being it reaching out those hard to reach. So in 2019, as I told you, we will be part of the Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development. And in 2020, we are actually going to organize a global technical meeting on volunteerism, which will coincide with the high-level political forum in New York. So the topic is reimagining volunteerism for the 2030 agenda. So I would really encourage you, and I would be looking forward to learning on your work, because this will definitely not remain just in your countries, but we are committing to really scale it up and showcase. We also are working on, we realize that measuring the contributions of volunteers, so your local actions is a challenge, and that's what we hear from many of the volunteer organizations that we work with. So we are trying to come up with some of the methodologies and tools how we can measure these contributions as well. I would be pleased to share some of the toolkits that we have developed with ISEC, for example, on the SDGs. And also we just had our global report, which is called the State of the World Volunteerism Report, which has a focus on how volunteers help build resilience in the communities. But there are interesting experiences from 15 countries in the research that you might want to look at. And I will also share the annual report, which does have examples of how volunteers are contributing to the SDGs. In terms of the work that we do in the region, we do have a very successful regional youth network, and I'm pleased that our advocates, two of the advocates from last year, and they're still on board, are from this network. It's a regional youth network called 2030 Youth Force. And it actually appeared after only one training that we organized, UNDP and UNV. So we are happy to continue this dialogue. And the 2030 Youth Force, you can look at the website 2030youthforce.org. We provide capacity development for this network, but it is largely run by young people. So you can learn on what they're doing and their approaches as well. We also had for ASEAN specific, we did have Impact ASEAN Youth Volunteering Innovation Challenge that we ran last year, where we asked young people to come up with sort of innovative ways on how to leave no one behind through volunteerism, etc. We are working now with the ASEAN Foundation to continue this, and hopefully maybe next year you will be the first group to know if we are continuing this, and I hope some of you can also apply to that. And yeah, I think that's
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Emilia. Maybe you can tell us about the SDG Data Explorers. Is that another initiative you have with the ASEAN Foundation that I think is very interesting?
Yeah, well, it's not an initiative that we necessarily organize, but we support them. It's ASEAN Data Science Explorers competition. Maybe some of you heard of it. It's organized by ASEAN Foundation and SAP. SAP is a telecom business process reengineering company. So they really partner with universities in ASEAN, and they announced this competition. So it's a competition among the high school and university students to really look at using the cloud analytics that SAP has to really play with data and see how young people can use the data that is relevant for particular, like specific SDGs that are chosen every year, and how they can analyze the data, and then what are concrete then solutions or projects or ideas that they can really sort of implement and do. And so they support them with small seed funding for that. So I would encourage you to look for that, and we will be, if I think they will be continuing next year because it's quite successful. They have national finals happening in each of the 10 ASEAN countries, and I this year I was part of one of them in Thailand because I'm based here. It was quite actually a lot of learning for me, that I really believe in young people, and I really believe that you guys will have uh, a lot of fresh ideas and a lot of the out of the box thinking to the SDGs, and it's really using your imagination and creativity. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Emilia, for this very, very thorough presentation. As usual, UNV Asia Pacific is one of the biggest partners of UNDP in this region. Is it possible for you to maybe tell us about who is the team in UNV Asia Pacific? And I know Krista and Jackie especially are going to help us also with the social media push and so on, and maybe about Manon as well.
Yes, we are a small team compared to other UN agencies. We have a regional office that was established just 3 years ago. We have a small team of 10 people, and we have a few UN volunteers with us. So, as you know, one part of our work is on really promoting volunteerism in the in achieving the SDGs. But other part of our work is to mobilize qualified people to become the UN volunteers with the UN. I would really hope that a lot of you would be inspired to become the UN volunteers in the future, or youth volunteers in the future. So we have currently three UN volunteers with our office, and I know you guys are working with one of the volunteers as well on the SDG Action Campaign. And in fact, some of the volunteers right now at this moment are speaking at a model UN that is taking place in Bangkok. So telling more young people about the SDG Action Campaign, SDGs, and volunteerism. We have our communication colleagues, Jackie and Krista and Haruna, who might be in touch, I think, with you as you start this program. But I will also be willing to share, if I can, some of the tools if you are interested, or some of the ways how you can better involve maybe volunteer involving organizations in your countries, work with our presence, because really the potential that volunteerism has is a lot, is untapped. Yeah, and then we also have a colleague named Manon, who's also involved largely with the ASEAN My World as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Emilia. I just asked on the chat whether you have questions to ask us, and please feel free, especially for Gayan and Emilia. This will be probably, it's very hard for us to convene and be here at the same time, given our extremely busy schedule. So we will not be always there, the three of us at the same time. You will most often be in touch with my colleague Chi. A lot of the new advocates, you talked to her and she interviewed you, and my colleague Chen here. That's the core team from UNDP Bangkok Regional Hub side. But we also have a colleague called Hani. She's currently traveling to Timor, and she's the project manager. So you will hear regularly, and if you come to Bangkok, by any chance, do say hello. We'll be very welcome to meet with us. Marie-Chris from Philippines, for instance, is coming to see us on the 10th of December. So whenever you are in town, do not hesitate to come, and we will gladly welcome you to the UN offices, show you around, and have a discussion about your strategies and the events you're planning, the outreach activities you are going to carry out, and so on. So the more you are responsive and you engage with the program, the more you will get out of it. It's really meant as a skills building. And while we are in Bangkok, and while this is one of the many initiatives we work on, we really try to support you as much as we can. Sometimes please be patient with us because we are really overwhelmed with work, but we reply to every request that you will have in the future. Let me tell you about myself. I'm Nadine. I am French originally. I've been in the region like Emilia for 3 years. I am based in Bangkok, but I travel to Cambodia a lot as well because I teach at the university in Phnom Penh. So for the advocates based in Phnom Penh, I will see you soon. I'll be there in mid-December the next time. I've been with UNDP for over 7 years now, previously with New York. And Hani as well was actually with me in New York as well. So we have a lot of global reach. UNDP is a very large organization. We are present in 172 countries and territories. In the region, in Asia Pacific, we are present in 36 countries, 10 countries in the Pacific as well. Of course, all the ASEAN countries have a country office. Brunei is a bit of a separate case because it's together with Malaysia. But except from that, everyone has their own country office. For the previous advocates, we made the effort to try to connect you with either the UN Resident Coordinator Office or the UNDP country office, or when it's available, the UNV field offices. We are based in Bangkok and we are the regional level, so we cannot really control what country offices really take on because sometimes they are very willing, and a lot of them are very enthusiastic, very supportive about this program. Others are too busy, they have government officials coming at the same time or big bosses coming, so it's not always possible for them to support you as much as we would like. But wherever there's going to be an entry point, we always have you at the back of our minds, and we will always try to connect the dots and make it easier for you to work. On many sides, we have a lot of partners. So it's the 3 UN co-conveners, but we have hundreds and hundreds of partners in the region and each ASEAN country. There's on one side, of course, the UNDP Bangkok Regional Hub contacts. We work with a lot of volunteer organizations through UNV, but we have our own volunteer-based organization that we work with. Youth groups, of course, CSOs, private sector, government representatives, and so on. The SDG Action Campaign, through their Act for SDG movement, has also hundreds of partners in ASEAN region. So there will be in the first preparation phase of your program, the first 6 weeks, where you're going to have the training webinars and the first cluster call, and where you're expected to come up with your strategy. One key ask is going to be for you to come up with a stakeholder mapping, an analysis of who is in your country and who can you help you achieve your objectives within the program. So that we're going to help you as much as we can. Maybe a bit more about what UNDP is or does. So we are one of the largest UN organization. UNDP has a very broad mandate. It's sustainable development, but it means a lot of things. We work on poverty alleviation, poverty eradication, hopefully, democratic governance and peace building, climate change, disaster risk reduction, and economic inequality. Very few of the SDGs that UNDP does not cover. Of course, UNV as well. It's kind of a cross-cutting. Volunteering is also cross-cutting among all the SDGs, from SDG 1 to SDG 17. I should probably mention that as advocates, you're not expected to know everything about every SDG. In your book, maybe you can turn off your sound. Yes, I wanted to say to the advocates that you're not expected to know everything about every SDG. This is the agenda is very broad and very complex. Each of the staff members here at UNV or UNDP or SDG Action Campaign has a few SDGs that we focus on. For instance, mine are SDG 10, inequality. I work a lot on SDG 16, peace building, governance. peace, and of course SDG 17, partnerships. My specialty is, for instance, to work with civil society and civic engagement and youth engagement. But none of you are expected to know everything about all the SDGs. In your respective campaigns, you can focus a bit narrower on like the SDGs that you really care about. Based on the profiles that we have among advocates, you have some of you are focused more on education. Some of you are focused more like they work in social enterprises, and there might be maybe some business-oriented objectives and goals that are more of interest. So anyway, the program is not completely set in stone, not completely fixed. Each one of you will have like a personalized, hopefully, program or strategy, and you can implement it in different ways with different partners. There's not a set way that you have to do things. The way in which UNDP actually supports the SDG implementation in this region is like we do everywhere else in the world. It's primarily by advising governments on how to design policies that are more meaningful, inclusive, equitable. So we have programs in every country. We work with ministries of planning, education, ministries of economic development, depending on the country, and advice to the government, sometimes the Prime Minister's office, and of course, working also in sync with all the partners. It can be from the private sector, academia, think tanks, civil society, the wide range of groups. Sometimes it's also marginalized groups, sometimes women, youth groups, indigenous persons, persons with disability, LGBT. We have a very large program, for instance, here at the Bangkok Regional Hub on being LGBT in Asia, with really a lot of partners through that initiative. So we work on all these thematic issues. We work on all the SDGs. We work with a wide range of partners. And of course, we really believe in partnership, and we really believe in that no one, not one UN agency, not one government can really address the SDGs alone. It's really important that you understand that we're all doing our piece. So we are based here in Bangkok. We work at the UN on the regional level. But I think that your work as an advocate at the local level is equally important. So really raising awareness, creating advocacy, and making people around you understand why is sustainable development important to you and to them. And you don't have to talk about technical words. You don't have to use necessarily UN acronyms in your advocacy. I would actually encourage you to do the opposite, to have very simple language. We're not talking about SDG for education. What it means for you is probably having access to affordable education, being able to go to university without having to pay very high fees. For others, it might mean waste management in your local village or in your town. The SDGs mean a lot of things to different people, and there's not one way of seeing the agenda, and that's why we're very happy that all of you have such diverse profiles. I could maybe give you some examples of like the big initiatives that we have been doing here at the Bangkok Regional Hub. Of course, each team, be it environment, being governance, we have things related to anti-corruption. It's such a broad range of activities that I cannot summarize them, but we have a website, and I can share the link also on the Facebook group. It's UNDP Asia Pacific, where you can see a lot of examples. But from the civic engagement and the youth perspective, there are 3 initiatives I wanted to mention. Of course, the 2030 Youth Force with Emilia and the UNV office is a big network that we've been kickstarting since 2016. But we have a big initiative on youth and civic space called Case for Space. There's a website called caseforspace.org where you can find a lot of resources and where you can build your own skills as well. There's going to be some resources and toolkits about how to create a social media campaign, how to find partners, how to mobilize your community, and so on. So that's also a resource, caseforspace.org. I will share the website. Another very large initiative, and I know a lot of you have heard about it, it's called Youth Collab. It's an initiative on entrepreneurship, leadership, and innovation. It's now with national dialogues in 20 countries in Asia Pacific. It is a very large movement. There's a Facebook page that I encourage you to like. Case for Space as well, of course, is on Facebook. Youth Collab also has a website. They have really achieved a lot of good things in the region. They have carried out a bunch of ideation workshops. They have hackathons. They have all kinds of innovation initiatives that they've been carrying out around the SDGs. And it's been extremely successful. And they've been organized in almost every country in ASEAN. I think not in Laos and Cambodia, but everywhere else. In Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, definitely. So there's a lot of good initiative related to entrepreneurship. And I'm saying this particularly for advocates who work in social enterprises and are from that kind of area. The last one I wanted to mention is Youth for Peace. That's part of a global movement also of young people who implement the resolution 2250. We are working in sync with a lot of partners on all of these initiatives. I'm not listing all the partners we work with, but from UNESCO to UNFPA, from private sector foundations. For Youth Collab, we have City Foundation and IKEA Foundation. We really work with a wide range of civil society and youth partners on all of these initiatives. Now let me maybe give you some key elements, key findings from the survey. The advocates in the first phase filled out this survey about 3 weeks ago, and we analyzed briefly what are the key results, the key achievements that they've done. So first of all, congratulations, kudos to all the advocates so far. You have more than exceeded our expectations. All the targets that we have achieved, you have exceeded them. So the UN partners are really very, very happy about the program. And that's why we decided, in fact, to extend it and expand it. So the program will take place between now, it started in June, second phase started in November, and it extended until May 2019. The reason why we chose May is because the event Gayan mentioned about is going to take place on the 2nd to 4th of May. It's mentioned in the guidebook that you have received, and we'll also share a website about it so you can learn and see how you can maybe organize your own events based on this. So the timeline is from November till May. A series of training webinars is going to be organized in the coming weeks. There's going to be one training webinar per week. We're going to start with Gayan next week, who's going to tell you how to collect votes online and offline. The following week is going to be Tina or Christina. She's going to be based in Madrid and tell you about digital impact and how to create social media strategies. Both of them are going to give you very practical tips. So from a technical point of view, how to use the platform, it's going to share screens with you, explain to you, it's very user-friendly. And while it might look a bit difficult to begin with, you will see, you will understand it very easily. And Tina, she will give you very good tips about how to maximize and amplify your voice on social media, giving you tips about how to take good pictures, maybe make some advocacy videos. All the skills that you're going to get from both of them, you're going to be able to use in your future careers. So, very much looking forward to those. The third webinar is going to be managed by me, and it's going to be about funding opportunities, resource mobilization skills, how to write a proposal, what kind of partnership principles, what kind of trust you can create with local governments, how to speak to different partners in a different way. If you engage with the private sector, there's one way. If you work with other youth groups, there's another way. If you work with the UN, there's another way. So I'm going to share some tips, practical tips, and also a big resource. I'm going to share with you a master table, an Excel table with a list of potential funding resources that you can potentially apply for. And maybe it's going to inspire you to look for additional funds yourself. In the previous first phase of the program, UNDP was able to support some of you, most of you, with small funds. And we're hoping that this will be the case again, but this will depend on funding allocation in the beginning of the year. So hopefully we will be able to confirm this as soon as possible. It's not a guarantee, but we will really try very hard because we know that even small funds for advocates, they make a big difference. So we'll keep you informed about this. In terms of the results from the first phase, we were aiming for 10,000 votes from the advocates, and in fact, they were able to collect almost 11,500. 9,000 were online, and the rest was offline. We are still in the process of collecting all the offline votes, and our colleagues here, and in Bonn, we will try to make sure that the votes are reflected in the online platform. The feedback in terms of skills and personal development from the advocates who replied to the survey was excellent. All of you were very happy with the personal development you received and the skills you developed. A lot of you were talking about, how to increase your social media impact. Basically, all the webinars that have been shown in the first phase have been impactful and have really helped the advocates apparently develop their skills. So we're very happy about that. We also determined that a lot of you are spending quite some time on the initiative, so an average of 50 hours per month. That's really a lot. But again, there were some of you maybe 10 hours, and some of you maybe 80 hours. So there are some of you that we engaged really a lot. I can think of Joss in Indonesia, for instance. We worked a lot with you and for your event. And there's a few others, of course, in Thailand, in Vietnam, in the Philippines, in Cambodia, where we connected you with UNDP country offices, UND field offices, the UN resident coordinator's office, when we found some speakers for you and so on. So a lot of you spend a considerable amount of time in the program, and we're very appreciative because it's volunteer based and we really, really value your time. In terms of advocacy events, so that's the third deliverable. We're going to talk about this more when you have the cluster call, but the third deliverable is to organize a handover event. And ideally, you also invite some local authorities, some private sector partners, a wide range of actors, not only students and academia, but a bit broader. 22 advocacy events were organized within the framework of the first phase. A total of 6,500 participants, and the profile of the participants was extremely varied. I will share a 6-page report that we produced to give you an overview exactly, and we analyzed all the responses very carefully. We were extremely happy to see that you also reached out to a lot of marginalized communities. So we had like representatives from refugees, migrant workers, LGBT, a lot of vulnerable groups, indigenous peoples were represented, and that's really one of the key objectives of the program. And we were very happy that you were able to really bring some of those voices in your events. On social media, so all of you use all kinds of medium. It was Facebook, Line, Twitter, Instagram, even a few networks that platforms that I didn't know about. So it's everything is in the report. And you estimated that through social media, the likes and the impressions, it was over 20,000 people that you were able to reach. So collectively, for the first batch of advocates, this is extremely impressive. So thank you again for all your efforts on social media. There were some very good examples, Brunei and Malaysia and Philippines and Indonesia, all of you, there were all kinds of very good examples of events that you organized or advocacy initiatives that you took that were very innovative. I can think of Risky in Indonesia with your SDG Carpool and your SDG Rock Song. All of these initiatives, by the way, for those who don't know, were showcased in New York on the 25th of September. Every year, the 25th of September is the Global Day of Action for the SDGs. And Gayan and his team were present in New York, and they presented the work. We created an advocacy video highlighting some of the key achievements as of September. And this was presented in front of world leaders in New York in September. So whenever there's going to be an opportunity to show your work at the regional level, Emilia and I here in Bangkok, and also, of course, the SDG Action Campaign in Bonn in New York, we will take the opportunity to really showcase your work and make sure that people know about your initiatives, and that nothing is lost in translation. That's just not just you work with us and then we forget about it. No, we take what you do, we amplify, we support, and wherever we can, we make it go a step higher with more partners, with more outreach on social media. And we're very much looking forward to working with all of you. And let me check on YouTube if there are any questions. Oh, thank you, Joss. I see you are saying that you're thankful for the support you received so far. So yes, thank you very much. Welcome to Vizal. Welcome to everyone else. So the question about sharing the best practices of campaigns from the previous batch, absolutely. All the so first of all, the report with the survey results and the analysis with a bunch of best practices is going to be shared. So that's going to be shared on Facebook. The Facebook group is, I should mention, the first point of contact for all of you. We're trying to work in synergy. So while there are countries and some of you are from Cambodia, but based in the Philippines, or from another country and based in another one, but I think the Facebook group is the best place to ask questions and to receive feedback, to share about what you've been doing, and that's really the best place to get information. you've seen already that it's a place where we will share also opportunities outside of the program. So we're not just focused on the ASEAN My World program. Whenever there's going to be a possibility for sponsorship, whatever comes our way that we think can be relevant for you, where you can qualify because you're from ASEAN or because you're in the right age bracket, we will share in the Facebook group. So that's truly the place where you can find all the information. There's also a Google Share Drive, which will be partially open for advocates and where the previous strategies from advocates will be shared. I think there will be more information. So on the skills, on the webinars, training webinars on one hand, but then there's also the cluster calls. So cluster calls, that means there are sub-regional groups. So because you are 50 advocates, it's too many. So we decided to divide you in 3 groups of advocates. And these calls will take place, and my colleague Chi, will be managing those with my colleague Chen as well. I'll be participating, but I'll be also traveling for work. And during those calls, you will get all the information about, where to find the reports, how to collect votes, where are the toolkits. You will be able to ask very specific questions about the program. There's a very specific deadline and timeline, and you will get reminders. And we're basically not holding your hand, but we're really trying to facilitate the engagement with us as well, to make it easy for you to understand when there are calls, how long they will be. There will be an agenda shared. To the extent possible, we will also try to have notes from the meetings and action points. So first point of contact, the Facebook group. Second point of contact is Chi and Chen. They are both the program coordinator and the program support. Me and Hani are the program leads, and we'll also be engaged in a lot of these initiatives, and we will be in contact via email as well. But ideally, again, Facebook first, email second. Let me check if there are questions on the YouTube channel. So the question from IU about the final report format, we will be able to give you an outline and give you very specific guidance about how to do it. The final report will have very basic structure. It should basically report on your deliverables. So within the program, it was in the terms of reference that you signed, the letter of agreement, there was Annex 1, and you had the terms of reference with like 3 main deliverables. Number 1, collect 500 votes for the survey. So this doesn't have to be done next week. You have 5 months to do it. You can do it either through social media, through online and offline strategies. The second key deliverable is to have a little bit of a storytelling. So have some Humans of My World stories and blogs. For those, Tina in Madrid will be able to give you some guidance. There's a toolkit. There's some, I don't know if you heard about Humans of My World. It's basically a format where you have a headshot of someone and then a big storytelling about their lives and, why do they care about sustainable development and what are the issues that they're facing and how to solve them. So that's the second deliverable. And the third one is the handover event. So the handover event should again be organized with a range of partners. And we can help you with the format, we can help you with designing the agenda, we can help you with identifying speakers as much as we can. We can connect you with the UN country offices and UN field presence as much as we can. But these are the 3 main deliverables. And your final report should kind of basically give an overview of your achievements. How many votes did you collect online? How many votes did you collect offline? How many Humans of My World stories did you write? How many blogs? What kind of impact did you have on social media? How many people did you reach through Facebook? And then about your handover event, it should be about how many participants did you have? What topics did you focus on? Was it all SDGs or just SDG 4 and whatever? What was the profile of the participants? Did you have only government officials or only youth or only students? Did you also reach out to marginalized groups? So these are the kind of things that we would hope for in the final report. Just like the previous group of advocates, we will also share some kind of evaluation survey where you will be able to fill out all this information. But we will give you tips along the way on how to do this progressively. If you have to do your final report at the last minute, it's like when you're writing an exam, it's better if you're prepared and if you do it step by step instead of like being very stressed at the last minute. But Chi, Chen, and I, Emilia, and Gayan, and Tina, we will help you through all of these steps. And I hope you don't see it as such a big ask. If you take down each deliverable, they're actually very, very easy to reach. And I'm sure all of you will do just fine. Let me check if there's another question on the YouTube channel. So are you also, another question from you about the KPIs to measure the handovers, handover events achievements. So yes, we will give you a measure and like some tips on how to measure how successful your event was. So of course, like Joss in Indonesia, you should probably write a meeting report, a kind of a summary of the key points of what you did. And then again, the profile of participants, the type of people that attended, and then the key kind of policy points, the key technical strategic points that came out of the meeting. And whatever you have, it can be shared with the country offices in your respective countries. We can also share it on social media and make sure that whatever you produced doesn't stay just with us. It's shared widely. Let me check if there's another question. I think this is it. I hope I responded to your question. Of course, during the cluster call, we will be able to answer more questions, more in detail. So there will be emails shared with you on the Facebook group as well about when those will take place. Same with the training webinars. Maybe let me give you another minute to see if there are more questions. And if not, I guess this will be it for today. Joss is commenting that he's working on his report and is going to be sending it this week. So we're very much looking forward to receiving it. I think that's it. Maybe no more questions. I would like to really, really thank our speakers today. Gayan, of course, in Bonn, and the SDG Action Campaigns team. Emilia, of course, and the UNV team here in Bangkok. And thank you for Chen also for helping setting up this conference call, and for all the help also on the survey and like identifying the new advocates. From my personal side, I would like to say it's been a pleasure with working with all of you, with my UN co-conveners, and with you, the advocates. And I'm really looking forward to working with you more and engaging more in the coming months. And again, congratulations on the achievements of the first batch of advocates, and very much looking forward, and congratulations on the new advocates and what you can achieve. This is very exciting. So have a good afternoon, everyone, and we will be in touch very soon.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Panda. Yeah.